Basements are supposed to be quiet, cold, damp, and maybe a little creepy, sure, but quiet. At least that's what Daniel thought when he moved into his new house at the edge of town. It was an older place, built in the 1950s, with creaky floors and paint that had started to peel. The real estate agent had warned him that the basement was unfinished, but Daniel didn't mind. He just wanted some extra storage space. The first week went fine. He unpacked, decorated, and settled into his new routine. But then, one night, just after midnight, he heard it. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate. They came from directly beneath his bedroom, where the basement was. Daniel froze in bed, his heart pounding so loudly he could almost hear it in his ears. At first, he told himself it was just the old house settling, maybe the pipes expanding. But the sound was too steady, too human. Step, step, step. He grabbed his phone, turned on the flashlight, and tiptoed to the basement door. He listened, holding his breath. Silence. Summoning his courage, he opened the door, flicked on the light, and slowly went down the creaky wooden stairs. The air was damp and smelled faintly of mold. Boxes sat stacked in one corner. The concrete floor was bare. No one was there. Daniel searched behind the boxes, under the stairs, everywhere. Nothing. Just shadows clinging to the corners and the hum of the water heater. Shaken, he went back upstairs, locked the basement door, and tried to convince himself he'd imagined it. But the footsteps came back. The second time, it was even worse. He had just gotten home from work, carrying groceries into the kitchen, when he heard them again. Step, step, step. They weren't beneath his bedroom this time. They were closer, moving just below his feet, following him across the kitchen floor. Daniel's blood ran cold. He dropped a bag of groceries, eggs shattering across the tile. The basement light was off. The door was still locked, yet he could hear the footsteps pacing down there, moving in circles like someone waiting. He didn't go down that time. Instead, he backed out of the kitchen, grabbed his phone, and called his best friend, Mark. "You're just stressed," Mark said after Daniel told him everything. "New house, living alone for the first time. It's your imagination." "Imagination doesn't sound like boots scraping on concrete," Daniel snapped. Mark laughed nervously. "Fine. I'll come over tomorrow. We'll check it out together." That night, Daniel hardly slept. The next evening, Mark arrived with a flashlight and a baseball bat, just in case. Together, they unlocked the basement door and went down. Again, it was empty. But this time, Daniel noticed something he hadn't before. Dust on the concrete floor. There were footprints in it. Large ones. Fresh ones. Leading from the base of the stairs to the far corner of the room, where the shadows seemed darker than anywhere else. Daniel felt sick. "See? Tell me that's my imagination." Mark's face went pale. Maybe the last owner came back? Or, without breaking the lock, without me hearing the door, Daniel whispered. They followed the prints, but they just stopped, right in the middle of the floor. No turn, no trail back, just ended. That night, Mark stayed over. Neither of them slept much. The following days grew stranger. Daniel started hearing the basement door rattle in the middle of the night. Once, he swore he heard whispering through the vent that connected the basement to the upstairs hallway. Then came the smell. It wasn't mold anymore. It was stronger. Rotting. Like old meat left out in the sun. Daniel couldn't take it. He called the landlord who had sold him the house, demanding answers. The man went quiet for a long time before finally saying, "The basement. It's not supposed to be used. The previous owner. Well, let's just say he had secrets down there." "What kind of secrets?" Daniel pressed. The man cleared his throat. "He disappeared. They never found him. Only his shoes, left in the basement. I thought you should know." Daniel hung up the phone, his hands trembling. That night, the footsteps returned louder than ever. They didn't stay in the basement this time. Daniel woke at 3 a.m. to the sound of them climbing the stairs. Step, step, step. He sat up in bed, paralyzed. The basement door creaked open. He hadn't even heard it unlock. His bedroom door was only a few feet away. He could hear the floorboards outside his room groan with each heavy step. The smell hit him first. Sour, rotten, unbearable. The footsteps stopped right outside his door. Daniel couldn't breathe. He couldn't scream. He could only stare as the doorknob began to turn. Slowly. Click, he snapped. Jumping out of bed, he grabbed the nearest thing, a lamp, and lunged at the door, slamming it shut with all his strength. He shoved a chair against it and backed away, shaking uncontrollably. The footsteps stayed there for what felt like hours, pacing back and forth, never leaving. Finally, just before dawn, they faded back down the stairs. When Daniel dared to open the door at sunrise, the hallway was empty. But on the wooden floor outside his room, in the thin layer of dust, was a single wet footprint, bare, human. Daniel moved out the next week. He didn't care about breaking his lease. He didn't care about the money. He just wanted to live. The house is still there, though, sitting quiet at the end of the street. The real estate listings never mention the basement, but neighbors say that if you walk by late at night, you can still hear them. Footsteps in the empty basement. If you ever hear footsteps in your own basement when no one is there, comment below. I'd love to know if I'm not the only one.